Now, there have been reports from across the causeway of a more infectious coronavirus strain, 10 times more infectious at that. And if you recall, Jan, yesterday, the Philippines also reported that it's found the same variant in the country.
But experts in Singapore told the Straits Times that there's no basis for Malaysia's claim. They also said that this D614G strain has been circulating in Singapore since February.
Well, Professor Wang Linfa is one of the experts disputing this claim, and he joins us now. Prof. Wang is, of course, the director of the Emerging Infectious Diseases Programme at Duke-NUS Medical School. Welcome, Professor. So, while you've said that there is no real scientific data that points to the D614G strain being more transmissible, is there a fear, though, that there could be a more contagious variant? And if so, is there anything being done to prevent that?
I think that, scientifically, as you already stated, that particular mutant D61G was circulating around the world for a long time, since February. And we had it in Singapore, and now it became a dominant strain circulating in the world. So I think scientifically, maybe that for most of the laymen, they interpret this as a more transmissible or more deadly, but that's not true. It just means that genetically, we say it's have a greater fitness. So it means that it can replicate and stay with human infection better than other virus. But it's a different concept from more deadly or more transmissible, because so far we don't see any evidence of that.
Right. Prof, your program deputy professor Wee Eng Yong also said this mutation has zero impact on vaccine efficacy. Now that's good, but could you elaborate to us what that means?
Yeah, so again, it's a very scientific kind of point, is that this mutation, D614G, is at the position 614 on the key protein on the surface of the virus called the spike protein. And that's the protein we use for vaccine. And Professor Wee is doing a vaccine trial in Singapore right now. But the key functional component of the vaccine is something that we call receptor binding domain, which interact with the host receptor, which is in the region that before upstream of 614G. That's why that this mutation will have zero impact, as Professor Wee said, because the key functional domain for the vaccine development is outside of this mutation.
Right. Well, Prof, let's change topics. Two international aviation bodies are pushing for travelers to be tested for COVID-19 within 48 hours of departure as an alternative to quarantines. What's your take on that? Do you think that that kind of plan is feasible?
Well, it's feasible, but whether it will be very effective, so I can understand, myself want to travel right now, but if it's a 2 weeks quarantine in each way, then it's very, very prohibiting. So this is alternative being proposed. Basically, you have to do a test within 48 hours of departure to make sure you're negative. But what I'm trying to say is that maybe you need another test at least 48 hours on arrival. So make sure that you are negative at least for 4 days, because you can have a test that is negative 48 hours before departure, because we know that virus, after infected, within hours, for example, it's going to be negative, right? And then the virus will be replicating in your body. Some, individual takes 1 day, some individual takes 3, 4, 5 days before you have symptom. And then a negative test within 48 hours departure is not 100%, proof to say that you are not infected. So I guess, on one hand, I can understand that, the aviation industry is trying to do something different to encourage people to travel. On the other hand, I think that it's not going to be risk-free. So what I'm suggesting is that if you want to do that, then you need to test on arrival within another 2 days.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Professor Wang. That was Professor Wang Linfa, Director of the Emerging Infectious Diseases Programme at Duke-NUS.